Hello and welcome to a yoga session here at Tarrant County College. My name is Eli Yoga. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. Let's begin today. We get to lay down on our backs. If we were in a classroom setting, I would go with majority, and once my students get to know that about me, majority wins, and everybody's like, sit down, lay on your back, don't be standing up. So we'll start off laying on our backs today. Hands are resting by our sides. I have my knees bent. If you'd rather have your legs straightened and flat to the mat, feel free to straighten those legs. And let's move into, it's actually a Pilates position called hip release. So I'm actually going to start off with knees bent. I breathe in, open one knee out to the side, and then lengthen my leg forward by straightening through my knee. Breathe out, I turn my toes towards my midline, and I drag my heel back up. Again, breathe in, open the knee out sideways, and lengthen my leg forward. Breathe out, turn the toes towards our midline, and drag our foot up. Breathe in, we laterally rotate, then extend our leg forward. Breathe out, we medially rotate and drag our foot up. Same leg, opposite direction. Breathe in, lengthening the leg forward, toes turn inward. Breathing out, opening our knee out to the side, dragging our heel back up. Breathe in, we lengthen our leg forward, toes turn inward. Breathe out, open our knee out to the side, dragging our foot back up. Last, breathe in, lengthen our leg forward, toes turn inward. Breathe out, open our knee out to the side, dragging our foot back up. Let's switch over to the other leg. Breathe in, we open this knee out to the side, then straighten our leg forward. Breathing out, turn our toes towards our midline, dragging our foot up. Breathe in, we open this knee out to the side and straighten our leg forward. Breathe out, turn our toes towards our midline, drag our foot up. Breathe in, we laterally rotate, then extend our leg forward. Breathe out, we medially rotate, dragging our foot up. Same leg, opposite direction. Breathe in, we lengthen our leg forward, straightening through the knee. Blow out, open the knee out to the side, dragging our foot back up. Breathe in, lengthening our leg forward, toes turn in towards our midline. Breathe out, toes turn away from our midline as we drag our heel back to our starting point. And breathe in, we straighten our leg forward, toes turn inward. Breathe out, open our knee out to the side, dragging our foot back up. Good. Let's roll on over to one side. Bottom arm serves as our pillow. We're in our fetal position. Top hand is going to rest to the floor if it can. We're going to draw almost a full circle on the floor if our fingers can continue to maintain connection with the floor. It's okay if they come off of the floor. And then breathe out, retrace. It's a semicircle. It's not a complete circle, but it's pretty close to a complete circle. Breathing in through the nose. Then blowing out through the nose. If you're not able to breathe through the nose today, it's okay to breathe through the mouth. The yoga philosophy is to maintain your breath in and out through the nose if possible to help maintain more heat within our bodies. This will be our last repetition. Once we've completed this repetition, we roll over to the other side. Fold those knees up to your chest in your fetal position. Top hand is hopefully resting to the floor. Breathe in as we draw our circle behind us. Breathing out as we close that circle in front of us. We're attempting to clear our minds. We're attempting to empty our thoughts. Focusing on our breath. Focusing on our movement. Allowing our muscles to move with our minds. Allowing our breath and our movement to match. completing this particular repetition. Once we're here, we return to our backs. Crab walk. Raise one foot and opposite arm. Rest that foot and hand by our side. Then switch over to the other side. It's okay to only raise an arm or to only raise a leg. It's okay to rest that leg flat to the mat or sole of the foot to the mat. Let's find ourselves resting our feet to our mat with bent knees, activated bridge. Breathe in, raise both arms up and overhead. Breathe out, raising our butt off of the mat, resting our hands by our sides. Breathe in, drop the butt, raise the arms. Breathe out as we lift the butt and drop our hands. One breath, one movement. Body and mind working together. Breath and movement matching. Let's rest our butt back down. Keep our hands resting by our sides as well. We're rolling. We're going to roll over to one side and take, trying to remember how I actually did this. Top leg in front of bottom leg. Here we are. We're going to lift our hips off the mat and then lower our hips back down. Breathing out and breathing in. Last one like this. Now, take this top foot in front of the bottom leg's thigh. Dropping elbows and forearms down. There's something here that I used to do. I can't remember what it is, so we're just going to switch on over to the other side. And from here, breathing out and breathing in. My top leg, that foot is in front of the bottom leg's ankle. My bottom knee is going to stay connected to the mat. One breath, one movement, body and mind continuing to work together. Breath and movement matching. Last one. Let's bring our hands to the front of our mats, onto all fours here, quadruped position. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath sit bones. We breathe out as we round into our cat. Breathing in as we arch into our cow. One breath, one movement. Body and mind working together. Breath and movement matching. Sitting back into a child's pose extended, a little muscle Memory reminder of a place that we can return to if our bodies need to take a break during our session today. Curling those toes under, substituting. Child's pose extended for down dog. If so desired, let's walk the dog for those of us selecting to lift our knees off of the mat. And move into our down dog. We walk the dog. Starfish hands. Even weight distribution amongst our fingertips and our palms. Let's walk, actually just step 1 foot forward, dropping our knee to the mat, our leg that remains behind. Kneeling warrior, breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands, mindful this knee is in front or on top of the ankle or behind the ankle, not on top of the toes. Let's curl our back toes under, activated runner's lunge, lift and lower. The hands stay to the floor or hands can be to blocks as well. This is an activated runner's lunge. If you bring your hands to your thighs, it's an activated lunge. And if you bring your arms up and overhead, it's an activated crescent lunge. Let's release our hands back down. We step this foot back and we transition and step our other foot forward. Breathe in, kneeling warrior, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands down. Curl the back toes under, activated runner's lunge. Maybe send hands to thighs. Maybe send biceps by ears. Releasing our hands down, resting this back knee down as well, stepping back, down dog, or child's pose extended. Upper body flow, modified or regular. Breathing into our plank, I'm showing a modified plank. Breathe out, elbows kiss the rib cage, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll upward facing dog. Breathe out, maybe add your extra push up, back to your down dog, or your child's pose extended. Breathing into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose. Breathing into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, we roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose. And breathing into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, we roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose. Let's find ourselves returning to a forward fold, walk, hop or jump, feet forward, forward fold. Using the power of our legs, let's breathe in. Circle sweep our arms to the side. Breathe out, activated chair. Breathe in, lengthening up, extended mountain. Breathe out as we sink into our chair. One breath, one movement continuation. Body and mind working together. Breath and movement matching. On our next inhalation, let's keep our arms elevated up and overhead. Breathe out, activated standing lateral flexion, laterally flex to one side. Breathe in to center, breathe out, we laterally flex to the other side. Standing, activated lateral flexion. The next time we breathe in, let's keep both arms elevated up and overhead. Breathing out, releasing hands to heart center. Standing mountain pose, palms are facing forward. Let's move with our right leg leading today. Breathe in, we lengthen arms up and overhead. Extended mountain. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we look forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathing out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank, chest over hands. Breathe out when we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll upward facing dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Left knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, releasing our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, completing our sun salutation with our chair, left side. Breathe in, we lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we're gazing forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, we lengthen heart center sky. Breathe out, releasing our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out when we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose, right side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in as we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Left side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, we're swan diving, hinging from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we gaze forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. We breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Better knees to hit the mat than chest or belly. Breathe in, roll up dog, tops of the feet to the mat. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Breathing in, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe out, release hands as we step forward, forward fold. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, reverse our swan. Breathe out, chair pose. Right side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinge from our hips, forward fold. Breathe in, we're gazing forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back. Kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back. Down dog or child's pose. Maybe left leg kicks up to a three-legged down dog. Let's breathe into our plank or modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Left leg could remain lifted. Breathe in, both feet to the mat. Roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Breathing in, heart center, sky. Breathe out, release hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Left side. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we're gazing forward, monkey. Breathe out, we step our left foot back. Kneeling warrior or crescent lunge is what I'm demonstrating. Breathe in, lengthen heart center, sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back. Down dog or child's pose, maybe right leg kicks up to a three-legged down dog. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, both feet to the mat. Roll up dog. Breathe out, back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Breathing in, lengthening heart center, sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, we reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, swan dive, hinge from our hips, forward fold. Let's walk, hop or jump, feet back, downward facing dog. We're going to hang out here in our downward facing dog. Resting our knees down to our mat. We're going to drop our elbows down. I've got my right elbow in front of my left, my forearms in front of each other. And we're moving into a plank position. You can lift your knees up and then step one foot back, then the other. I'm going to raise one arm up so I'm facing you, so the hand closest to you. I'm going into a side plank. Here, this is nice on the wrist. If you want to straighten your bottom arm, you can. All 10 toes are facing you as well. If this is too much, drop down that bottom knee. We've done a kneeling side plank before, but make sure your toes are facing the side of your mat, of your bent knee, and not the back of your mat. Continue to breathe. For more sensation, with or without your knee onto the mat, you could raise your top leg. Let's release back down, returning to those genie arms. You can rest your knees down. Kind of give yourself a bit of a child's pose, but keep those genie arms, and we're going to flip around to the other side. So curl those toes under, lift those knees off, step back, then the other. And if you already know you need the kneeling plank, you go for it. Going to remove the hand that's away from you and twist. All 10 toes are facing my side of the mat. And I can drop down to my knee into a kneeling side plank here. Notice how my toes are facing you, not the back of the mat for knee safety. Option to have this top hand to your waist or up to the ceiling. Maybe option to raise your top leg. Try to keep your head in line with your spine. Definitely breathe. We release. Back down, we can go into a real child's pose this time, extended, modified, or regular. Those genie arms are no longer necessary. Curling our toes back under, downward facing dog. It's okay to stay in your child's pose if you prefer. We walk, hop, or jump, feet forward, forward fold. Softening of our knees. Let's breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out, releasing hands to heart center. Let's step one foot back. Preparing for a pyramid pose. You can have those blocks available to you. In fact, actually we'll stand. Breathe in, lengthen arms up and overhead. Breathe out, swan dive forward. Hands can go to the floor, to your blocks, or to your textbooks. We'll step one foot back, releasing this heel to the mat. Let the toes, they don't have to completely be in line with this foot here. Those back toes can be in a bit of a lateral turnout. Pyramid pose, hands to either side of your front leg. And we breathe. Shift your hips forward and back. Now the hands can stay to blocks or to the floor. If you want to move into your chest expansion arms, you may. We're releasing our hands down. Now you can stay here in your pyramid pose. I'm going into the one-legged standing straddle splits option. So I'm going to walk. I'm going to fold through my front knee and walk my hands forward just a little bit. Raise my back foot up to the sky. And depending on flexibility, I'm really pointing through the toes of my lifted leg and trying to draw my head as close to my floor leg as possible. Maybe send one hand to that ankle, possibly both, depending on my balance. I can stay here on my one-legged standing straddle splits or my pyramid, maybe activated standing straddle splits. Breathe and bend both knees in. Breathe out, shoot my toes back up to the sky. Holding in my one-legged standing straddle splits. Release this foot down. Pyramid pose. And have that textbook or the blocks if you're not able to completely straighten through this knee joint that's closest to the front of your mat. And if you don't have access to those elevated surfaces, it's okay to have a gentle bend to this knee, but ideally we're trying to keep this knee nice and straight. We're going into a reverse triangle. So whichever foot is underneath your face right now, take the hand to that side and place it to your waist. And you can stay here. You can stay in your pyramid again. I'm going to turn away from you, turning towards the direction of that front leg. Maybe send my eye gaze over my shoulder, maybe straight through this elbow joint, and possibly the hand that's still towards the floor of the block, I can send that to the outside of my front foot to intensify this sensation. Reverse triangle. Let's come on back to center to our pyramid. We step forward, forward, fold. Noticing the difference in sensation between the right and the left sides of our bodies. Now let's step our other foot back into a bit of that lateral turnout, straightening through this knee joint. And up to you if you'd like the assistance of the blocks. Shift your hips forward and back to determine if one hip placement over another creates a desired sensation. If you selected the chest expansion arms on the first side, you may select it again to promote a balance for your body. We're releasing our hands down, one-legged standing straddle splits, folding through this knee joint of our front leg, raising our back foot up to the sky, as high to the ceiling as we can get it. Maybe send one hand to our ankle, potentially both, if flexibility allows. Point those toes up towards the ceiling of your elevated leg, and breathe. Continuing to send positive Healing exhalations to whichever area of our body we currently feel sensation. We're welcome to stay here in our one-legged standing straddle splits. If we'd like, fold through both knees, activate, and then straighten. Breathe in, breathe out. And let's rest our foot, returning to our pyramid pose, preparing for our triangle here. Taking the hand to the same side of the foot that's closest to your face, to your waist. If you can, twist towards the side of your mat. Maybe straighten through this elbow joint, maybe eye gaze up towards that hand. Limiting rotation of the spine if we're pregnant or if we have back issues. And then our hand that's still to the floor or the block, if we like to take it to the outside of our front foot to intensify the sensation, we may. I accept my body and my mind completely in this moment, in this breath. Let's safely return to center. We step forward, forward, forward. Let's step our left foot back. Wide sunflower stance. Soften those knees. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out as we release hands and energy to our heart center. Turning our right toes to face the front of our mat, pressing our left heel towards the back of our mat. Triangle pose, going into our warrior two, arms first. Breathe in, lean towards the front of our mat. Breathe out, drop our right hand to knee, shin, ankle, block, foot, or floor. Raising our left hand to the sky. And breathing. Imagining that our bodies are in between two window panes, or carefully not touching the glass in front or behind us. Let's carefully drop our hands down towards the front of our mat. We're stepping forward, forward, forward. Now stepping our right foot back. Wide sunflower stance. Soften through those knees. Breathe in, circle, sweep our arms to the sky. Breathing out, hands to heart center. Left toes turn towards the front of our mats, pressing our right heel towards the back of our mat. Warrior two, arms. Breathe in, lean towards the front of our mat. Breathe out, drop our left hand to block, knee, shin, ankle, foot, or floor. Automatically press your hips forward, lengthen up through the tips of your right fingers. Maybe send your eye gaze towards your right hand, and breathe. Let's carefully release. We step forward, forward, forward. Using the power of our legs, let's breathe in. Circle, sweep our arms up and overhead. Breathing out as we release hands and energy to our heart center. Moving into a standing dancer pose. I'll face you. Right elbow bends, sending left foot to left hand, and if you need to stand by a wall for balance, you may, or you may lay on your side and perform a sideline dancer pose. You can stay here. If you'd like to extend your right arm up and straighten through the elbow joint, you may. Potentially stay here, eye gaze to a fixture when we're in a balancing pose. Possibly hinge forward. Maybe send this right hand to your left foot. Maybe hinge the heart center a little bit closer to the floor. Always breathe. Carefully returning to center, we rest this foot down. Folding through our left elbow joint. This side might be easier to balance. It might be more challenging. Sending our right hand to our right foot. Maybe stay here. Maybe extend left arm. Potentially hinge forward. Maybe send this left hand to our right foot. Every day is different. Every body is different. Embracing our unique spirits, our own abilities to breathe and to stay balanced. Let's carefully release out of our standing dancer pose. Palms are facing forward, mountain pose, shoulders relaxed, away from our ears. We breathe in, lengthen our arms back up and overhead, clasping our hands together. As we breathe out, choose a side. We laterally flex in our standing lateral flexion, allowing our exhalation to potentially help us sink 1/10 of a millimeter deeper into our stretch. Let's breathe and return to center. On our next exhalation, we laterally flex to the other side. The next time we breathe in, we return to center. The next time we breathe out, we release hands to our heart center. Finding ourselves returning to a wide sunflower stance. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, hinge from the hips, hands can rest to the floor or blocks, depending on flexibility. We're going to send our hands through our legs. We can actually, let's bend our knees into a bit of a squat, and hands wrap around to the outsides of our ankles. And we're in a squatted position. I have to adjust my feet to shimmy them in just a tiny bit. Maybe attempt to straighten your knees and feel a bit of a stretch through the shoulders and the arms. It's okay to stay in your squat if flexibility does not allow you to straighten through those knees. Breath continuation. Release the hold of your ankles and send those hands behind you, palms facing the sky. Arms are directly underneath. Attempt to get your head a little bit closer to the floor. And let's come back to center, resting those hands to the floor or to your blocks. Open up your heels so you're no longer in a lateral turnout, but the sides of your feet are parallel with the fronts and backs of your mats, a straddle splits position. And you can stay here. Maybe drop elbows and forearms down to your textbooks or to your blocks or to the floor, depending on flexibility. The wider the stance of your legs, the easier it is to get those elbows and forearms closer to the floor. But again, honoring your body and what your body's ability can withstand for today. Now let's place your right hand underneath your face or right hand onto your block. Your left hand goes to your waist, twisting towards the back of my mat. Eye gaze maybe over my left shoulder, maybe straighten through my left elbow joint and reach my left finger fingertips to the sky. Rotation of the spine. We return to center, placing our left hand underneath our face. Right hand can go to the low back. Twist towards the front of my mat. Maybe send my eye gaze over my right shoulder. Maybe straight through my right elbow joint. Maybe reach my right fingertips to the sky. Always breathe. We return to center. Let's rest our knees down to the mat. We're going to, I'll give a quarter turn to give you a view of my toes, curling my toes under. If this is possible for you, I'm sitting back onto my heels with my toes curled under to give a nice stretch through my feet. Hands can rest at thighs. I'm actually going to move into another chest expansion and breathe. If you're unable to be in a kneeling position like this, it's okay. You can sit into a butterfly stretch or perform a down dog or a child's pose extended. Let's release our hands. Let's release the tension in the toes. Let's wrap our feet around towards the front of our mats. If you happen to have a strap, you can reach for your strap. I actually have a flex band today instead of my yoga strap. Placing the strap around the arches of your feet. Or a hamstring stretch. Maybe stay upright, possibly hinge on forward. And if you can reach your hands to your toes, wrap cat peace fingers around big toes, go for it. If you're holding onto a strap, you can always use a spare t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a towel to wrap around the arches of your feet. Tug onto whatever you might have as a strap to sink your head a little bit closer towards your legs. Continue to send those positive healing exhalations to whichever area of your body you currently feel the sensation. Let's bring ourselves back up. We're going to remove one foot from that strap and bring that foot to the inner thigh. And if you do have a long enough strap, and I do today, we're going to raise this arm up and overhead and just get a nice stretch through the side of our body. If you don't have a strap, basically just reaching up and laterally flexing over. And let's come on back to center, just a single-legged forward fold, sending face over leg, maybe tugging onto our strap. We'll bring ourselves back up. We switch over to the other side. Lateral flexion. And a breath continuation. Single-legged forward fold. Face this leg that's straightened and sink your face over your knee. Some of us can get lower than others. We can tug onto our strap if we have one to aid us in the intensification. We'll bring ourselves back up, releasing this strap. Seated spinal twist. Let's straighten our left leg forward, keep our right knee bent. We could step our right foot over our left leg. If you want more intensity, a Turkish twist would fold that left knee joint and stack knees on top of each other. You're not required to do the Turkish twist. You're welcome to keep that leg forward. Twisting towards the front of my mat. Maybe looking over my right shoulder behind me. If you're in the Turkish twist, you can bring your hands to your heart center, left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. And breathe. Let's return to center. We trade it out to the other side. So straightening the right leg forward, we can step the left foot over, and we can twist accordingly. However, Turkish twist option, fold through the right knee joint, stacking left knee on top of right. I twist towards the back of my mat, maybe looking over my left shoulder, potentially hands to heart center, right elbow to the left outside of the left thigh, and breathe. Back to center. Let's find ourselves getting closer to the earth as we lay down on our backs. We can bring our strap with us, promoting hamstring stretches one more time. You can choose which foot goes in first, and if you'd rather wrap in cat piece fingers around the big toe, you may. Let's open this leg out to the side and possibly tug onto your strap or tug onto your foot depending on your flexibility. Anchor the opposite butt, cheek onto your mat, and breathe, promoting a nice stretch for the inner thigh of this leg. Let's return this foot to center. Twist your big toes in towards your face. Your pinky toes go up towards the ceiling. Now hinge this leg slightly across your body to get the outer thigh and a little bit of the outer ankle, your TFL, your tensor fascia lata. Which reminds me, we haven't created a word of the day today. The word of the day is light. L as in lion, I as in iguana, G as in gold, H as in hippopotamus, T as in tiger. Light is our word of the day. Let's return to center. Remove this foot from the strap or the hands. Place the other foot in and open this leg out to the side, anchoring this butt cheek to the mat. Potentially tugging onto our strap or our foot, and breathing. Let's return to center with this leg, twisting your big toes towards your face, your pinky toes to the ceiling. Hinge your legs slightly across your body for your TFL stretch. And we're breathing. Continuing to send our positive, healing exhalations to any area of our body where we currently feel a sensation. Let's return to center, removing our foot from our straps, preparing to move through some muscle tightening before we enter relaxation. Let's breathe in, tighten and squeeze every single muscle we have in our bodies, maybe raising body parts off the mat. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. Again, breathing in, tightening and squeezing. Breathe out, let go. And again, breathe in, tighten and squeeze, holding on. Breathe out, release, and relax. We're allowing our feet to flop open. We're allowing our palms to face the sky. Let's think of the area behind our ankles and soften this portion of our body. If you'd rather have bent knees, you may. Butterfly legs, knob knees, up to you. Sending our breath focus towards our abdominal core, allowing our tailbone to sink heavily into the mat. Adjusting our breath focus to our heart center, finding a calm, peaceful, and relaxed heart center. Let's swallow to relax through our communication center. Finally, the area in between our eyebrows. Let's soften this portion of our body.
serve as your pillow. Noticing any positive transformational changes that may have occurred during today's session. Possibly wiggling fingers and toes to help reawaken our body. Let's carefully press ourselves up, returning to our seated position, dipping our chin towards our chest as